last minute shakeup at 5:30 a.m., laundry situation not good. And when your focus is on helping your clients, it's easy to forget about yourself. But NASM knows trainers.
Morning ride is okay.
And staying in front of the day isn't always as simple as 1, 2, 3. So when the unexpected has you pressing pause,
what's the latest on creatine?
I'm going to get back to you on that.
Let NASM1 help you press play. Visit NASM.org to sign up for a membership today.
You're listening to the NASM-CPT Podcast with Richey, winner of the Share Care Emmy Award for Social Storytelling and the official podcast of the National Academy of Sports Medicine.
Hey, y'all, and welcome to the NASM-CPT Podcast. My name is Richey, and today we're going to be talking to somebody. I've got a guest with us today, and I will introduce her shortly. And I think the good part about this is trying to figure out when do you know it's time to take that leap from being an employee to an entrepreneur. And this is something that so many trainers love the idea of. Trainers love the idea of opening their own gyms, which I don't suggest for everyone. Trainers love the idea of going independent as a personal trainer. It's great, not for everyone. There are opportunities that exist for you to flex your entrepreneurial muscles and to move out and start working in a realm where you are building your business, because it's nice working for somebody. I think that there's benefits to that. Some people, that's the job that they need. They belong in that place. It's perfect for them. And for many others, there's going to be an opportunity to move on and find your what's next as an entrepreneur or as a solopreneur. So I'll share a little story briefly about me when I finally decided to move forward and open a gym. And it was tough. This was a hard decision for me, and I'm battling with it. I'm going back and forth. I'm thinking about the money I could lose. I'm thinking about having 2 children at home, young children, us living in a small apartment, all these things. And here I am, willing to go into debt at the hope, at the dream, I'll say, the dream of opening my own business, having my own gym. And I put a lot of work into the concept. And then eventually I came across a quote. And this quote was the one that drove me to make a decision that changed my life forever in a very good way. And it doesn't always go that way, but in a very good way. And this is the quote. It's a quote by Anais Nin. And it says, "And the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom." It hurt too much to not do it. And I knew that there was risk when it came to blossoming, when it came to growing, when it came to opening a gym and borrowing money and finding a location and giving a security deposit that basically ate half of my money that it took to open a gym. And yet it hurt too much to not do it, that the risk didn't seem as painful. So with that being said, I want to bring someone in whose focus is to lead people into the solopreneur lifestyle, not necessarily opening a gym. That's not necessarily what we're talking about, but someone with the degree, the pedigree, the know-how to develop and make the right steps in order to go towards that entrepreneurial, solopreneurial area for yourself. So welcome to the show, Tanya MFK. What's up, Tanya?
Hello. I'm so excited about this topic.
I know. I'm super excited to have you here because I kind of push for people to think about becoming an entrepreneur. I mean, this is not for everyone, but there's a lot of opportunity for people. And so many times, especially trainers who want that freedom of schedule, they want this, it's almost like the idea of being a personal trainer and then moving into having your own training business is the natural next step for many people. But oh my goodness, girl, it is scary.
It's a lot. No, and I love that you brought up the caution, right? There is a place to be cautious because we live in a world right now where you jump on LinkedIn or anywhere else, and there's a whole roll of people telling you, this is the only way, entrepreneurship's the only way. And it's not. There are wonderful organizations to be part of, to be an employee with, as you are, diving into your mastery of training and really supporting people. But once, like you said, once you have that call and you really kind of know, wait, I really think this is the step, then you want to have some wisdom to go with it before you jump into that, right?
Yeah, well said. What is the planning process like? Because apparently, I would assume anybody that's taken the next step is going to go from a job I currently do to the entrepreneurial version of the job I currently do.
Right.
Is that next step where you say, okay, let's make a deliberate choice, not the emotional jump, quit my job and just do it. Like, what are the steps?
Right. Absolutely. So that's a big part of it. Like once you have the bug and that bug's not going away and you're like, this, I know I'm called to do this leap. Beautiful. Amazing. The first step is not to quit your job or go make a website or file for your business license or make a logo, right? I think those are some of the biggest mistakes that I see is they jump right into creating the assets. And the work of a successful business happens way before that. And it really starts at really trying to understand your true vision. What is it that you want in this? Are you looking at having, multiple locations, physical locations? Is it about freedom of location? Perhaps you want to create places in different, go to different places. There are people who run retreats. There are people who have one-to-one. What is it that you're trying to create? And even starting at the end result of what kind of income are you trying to bring in? Not everybody needs to be a billionaire, right? Not everybody needs to be a multimillionaire. What are the numbers that would really mean success for you? And if you don't have that heart to heart first about what success means for you, because for some people, it is not about going, about having luxury vehicles and giant houses. They might want something simple and sustainable. And you know what? If you do want luxury houses and lots of cars, that's great too. But we need to get clear first on what success means for you.
I like that. I like that because I tell people, I feel like I am successful in what I want. And I might not be successful in a lot of people's eyes. I might be incredibly successful in some people's eyes. But for me, it's still a process and I'm still building. And there are goals and projections and locations and ideas that I want to see happen. But my goal isn't my goal for you. My goal is my goal for me. And we like to project that on other people, or we like to see other people's progress and say, that's what I want.
That's what it is. And the truth is to create a successful business, you actually have to work backwards. So if you haven't started at the end, you're not clear what the end result is. This is how people go on so many fruitless paths and losing money, losing sleep, doing the old adage of entrepreneurs are the people who quit a 40-hour work week to work 80, right? The hustle does not have to be part of this journey. And that's a huge part of what I focus on as well, especially when you're working in wellness and health and this space. The last thing you want to do is be tired, burnt out, and overworked while you're trying to be an example for your clients, right? So this is really, really important to start to understand what is success. For some people, it may be freedom. And if freedom is it, and you're not trying to have the most amount of clients, then you need to create a business that has an exit plan, right? You need to start to understand, do I want coaches underneath me, trainers underneath me? What is really my version of success? If it is a certain number amount, the first thing I'm going to say is let's dig under why it's that number amount. What is it that we really want that number to provide? Because a lot of times we pick arbitrary numbers as well. Well, it's 10 million or it's this. What is it that you actually want with that? How much do you really need to create the life that you want? So it's really about some heart to heart, getting it down on paper. What are those numbers? What does your dream life look like? And this is kind of fun, right? We can start at this space because once we do that and have our kind of daydream, we can get into the hardcore numbers of what that is. What does that mean in terms of how many clients, how many hours? What does that business need to really bring in and create? And it will start to form itself. And too often I see a lot of people getting excited and they start at the beginning. They start the social media account first and then they find themselves in kind of a whirlwind of chaos, directionless, with a website that no one's going to, and a gym that's open that no one knows about, or any of those things, and a lot of sunk costs. And we can really avoid that by first having this very clear and simple conversation. So that's the first part.
I like that a lot. Let me speak to something, because I think it's a profound moment when I listened to a guy who had won like the Mega Millions. All right. So he had, let's say $100 million. I don't remember what it was. And he was a truck driver. He lived in Georgia. And they said, what are you going to do now that you have all this money? And he said, I'm going to go fishing. And I was like, you know how little money it takes to go fishing? Right. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need that. I mean, granted, he's got a nicer boat and a nicer fishing rod now, but like, to be honest, like, what is your end goal? And if it's something as simple as that doesn't take the Mega Millions jackpot in order to find your peace and your happiness. So, and having your own business can be a lot of work. It can be very rewarding. Don't get me wrong. Very rewarding.
Beautiful. Yes, there's totally beautiful things to it. And I want everyone to hear that. But it is about having this first initial space of clarity, because again, too often we're working towards numbers because they sounded good on paper, and we're not actually looking at the life we want to create. And if you don't want to burn yourself out, you do want this journey to be one that includes, yes, some work, but also some joy, then this type of clarity is going to be your superpower. And once you have that, like I said, then we can work backwards into the nitty-gritty of numbers, and that will actually start to tell you and show you what kind of business is ideal to create, right? And then you can go, oh, do I like that? Do I like the way that looks? Do I want 40 clients a week or 40 a day or whatever that chaos might be? And then you can start to really understand what you're trying to create. Once we know what we're trying to create, then we can easily put the rest of the blocks together, right? We can really put the clarity of what our messaging is and our strategy and those pieces. Do you even need a social channel? Is it networking? What are those other pieces? But it really is about understanding that. I think that confuses people a lot, because they go, well, I just got to get started. You're right. You do got to start imperfect action, but we start at the end goal and then work our way back.
Gotcha.
That's step one.
So I do hear this, like, it's almost like when my wife told me she was pregnant, it's like, it's never a good time, but might as well do it now. Opening a business, like, I'm not ready. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough education. I don't have enough preparedness, but you have to do it. But what needs to be done? I mean, do people need to write out a business plan? Do they have to go through some of these formalities and check off a list? And if they do, what's on the list, Tanya?
Right. No, that is a great question. So first and foremost, in our business world over here, Seth Godin is one of our, gurus, if you will. I'm sure you would hate hearing that. But, he has a book called Ship the Work, which means just get it out there. You just get started. So there is a lot to be said for that imperfect action. I have a whole backstory about why we don't wait for the perfect moment. This is the only one we're promised. And to the best time, as the old, saying goes, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, the next best time is today. Yeah. So if you're going to let, the economy or this, you know what? I think Instagram was started during like a recession, all of these different things that are incredibly successful. They just started because it was time to start. And so there is not going to be a perfect moment. If you're feeling like it's ready, you've confirmed that within you. It's time to go, right? Imperfect action. Part two for what you asked. Yeah. So we get into I got to write a business plan. You need a plan. Yes. Business plans and the old way of doing business. There's a reason why my business is called Modern Business Mastery, because there's a lot of old kind of beliefs out there. When you're writing a business plan, typically back in the days, that was to find funding. So if you are looking to get someone else's money to start your business, then yes, you need to show them a clear plan and process, projections, all of those wonderful things. When it's you do need a plan, but it's not that kind of plan.
Gotcha.
Okay. Your plan again goes back to what am I trying to get to? And then once you understand that, then we're starting to go, where's the best place for me to show up? So there is actually a what I like to say, some 4 very simple, if you want your whole strategy, your whole
I
business
do.
strategy. Really
Yes.
4 steps.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I got it. I got you. It's 4 steps, right? And what I do and I tell people is that business is not as complicated as some coaches would like you to believe. Okay, it really isn't. If we strip it all away, we're humans working with humans, especially those who are in coaching and training and wellness. We're really not only working with humans, but we care a lot about them, or we wouldn't be in this space, right? And so when we remember we're working human to human, guess what? Business works the same way. It's simply the process of relationship building. So the same way that you wouldn't see someone that you're kind of interested in, maybe in a coffee shop, you wouldn't walk up to and go, "Hi, I noticed you across the way. Would you like to get married?" Whoa, right? Too much, guys, too much. Yet you see entrepreneurs doing this all the time. They don't know you. They just come and they go, buy my thing, because it makes sense. Here's all the reasons why it makes sense. Buy my thing. Again, imagine someone coming up to you with a bullet point list of why you're a great partner and say, we should get married. They could be wrong. They could be right. You're not going to take time to try because that person's crazy, right? That's not what we're going to do. Okay. So if we think about relationship building in that way, the first thing we want to do is, where are we finding people, right? Where is our discovery zone? And this is another thing I see a lot in bad business advice, is someone will tell you a specific place where is the best place. It's LinkedIn, it's Instagram, it's YouTube, it's, whatever, pick your name. It doesn't matter. If you're not comfortable there, it doesn't matter if the people are there. Okay. So if you are vegan and you are looking for a date and someone goes, I'm telling you, all the great people are at the Brazilian steakhouse, you're going to feel awkward there. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you do meet someone. It's not your element. It's not your realm. Okay. And, if you're not into Comic-Con and someone tells you that's where all the people are, if you do meet someone, it's going to be an awkward conversation, isn't it? A bit forced. And that's what happens too often when we're showing up in these discovery spaces, especially online or even in networking situations. So first and foremost, you have to just find out for yourself, where are you comfortable connecting with people? If it's an online space, if it's a networking situation, in the real world, I've been working on online a long time, so I forget people see each other in the real life. But we do that. You first want to figure out your discovery place. That's step 1. Okay. Gotcha. And there's a rule. I'm gonna interject with a quick rule for this. So because as we move on, it's gonna make sense. There's a rule here that I call the 5 1s. All right, the 5 1s. As you are starting out in business, you only get 5 1s. Okay, you get 1 traffic source, 1 target market, 1 product, and 1 conversion tool. We'll explain what that is later. That you get to focus on. You're like, Tanya, there's only 4 for 1 year. Okay. And I know that sounds tough because there's a lot of people like, but I have 3 different programs and I have 5 different people I can help. That's amazing. Until you're starting to bring in consistent 5-figure incomes, you get to focus on 1. Okay. Now, it doesn't mean you don't get to offer those other products. Okay. It doesn't mean you don't get to talk to those other people, but it means that your efforts in your business are staying in those lanes. Okay. You're targeting, you're messaging, all of those, and you're really focused on those core areas. And the reason why is that's going to help you when you figure out that discovery zone. And then it's going to help you with the next part of the strategy, which is once you found somebody you're interested in, you found the place where you like to hang out, you're going to figure out where your coffee date is. Because again, we don't go up to people and ask them to get married. We find out a way to connect with them. So for some of you already aware of this, some of you are doing consultations. Some of you might be doing a free session to see what, for them to see what it's like. Mm-hmm. This is the coffee date. This is a way that you get connected with people so they can see whether or not they want to get to know you more, right? That's what dating is, right? So this is why we are following the relationship process here. So remember, step 1, figure out your place where you want to hang out. You want to be discovered. Step 2, how are you inviting people to coffee dates instead of marriage? All right. Once you've brought them in from that coffee date, now you can create working on that relationship. So whether that is through your content, whether that is through some lower offerings and different things like that, you can work on nurturing that relationship the same way that you would in real life, hopefully, until you move to the proposal, right? proposal, whether it's pitching your offer. And this goes for whether you're B2C or B2B. So if you're going to a consumer, individuals, some of you might be selling programs. I know a lot of you have that wonderful NASM program. That's the wellness program as well. There's a lot of corporate opportunities, also with trainers, a lot of corporate opportunities as well, right? This process, you're still working with humans. Just because it may seem like it's a faceless business corporation, this is the same process. Right. So how are you then moving into that proposal stage? Pitching the proposal, getting on one knee, doing whatever that is. OK. And then the fourth part of your strategy is going to be the honeymoon. Right. Too often we go, well, they got the proposal. Yeah. People can still cancel proposals. They can still ask for refunds. So your delivery process really, really matters. And that can be as simple as how professional are your agreements, the emails you send out and how to get started, what their next steps are, directions to where you guys are going to meet, whatever version of your business that is. These are the 4 elements you have to have clear and in order if you're going to have a proper, powerful strategy. So that was a long way to say Rick, that it's not a business plan, it's that strategy. And if you don't have those 4 steps laid out, you're going to find yourself kind of trying all the things and not getting too far.
That's amazing. So what I'm going to do right now in a moment is I'm going to ask you to go back through the 5 ones and then go back through this 4-point strategy.
Yes, I can do it.
Highlight it and then we can dig into it. But before we do that, let me say this. This episode of the NASM-CPT Podcast is brought to you by NASM One, the membership for trainers and coaches. Members enjoy unlimited access to hundreds of career resources. Get the Edge app to schedule and program. Clients enjoy half off of all certifications and specializations, access to free CEUs, and more. All of this for just $35 a month. Go to nasm.org/membership to learn more about NASM One. All right, let's move into this. Let's go through. Speaking of one, let's go back through the 5 ones and then give me that 4-point process again, please.
Absolutely. So the 5 ones, this is the rule I have for new entrepreneurs. And I'll tell you this, I've been doing this for 22 years. More times than not, the people who come to me, they're make it happeners. Okay. They're not lazy people. And if you're in this industry, I know you're not either. It's a blessing and a curse because what happens again is they go, I've done it all. I got 5 social channels. I got a website. I got this, I got that. And more times than not, what I have to do is strip it down. Because when we're talking about staying away from burnout, when we're talking about creating a sustainable business, that stuff's going to put you right out of business, right? It really, really is. When you're in burnout, you don't get anywhere. Okay. So it's really about streamlining back down. So what we do is we talk about, first and foremost, one traffic source. That's a discovery place, right? One place where you are in traffic and people knowing what you do. And if you think about it literally, if you were driving down the road, and someone was standing in traffic, you're going to notice there is a person there. Now, second goal there is hopefully that person's holding a sign or helps me understand why they're standing in traffic. And this is actually a mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs make as well, as they go, well, I'm there and they'll find me. And the old, if you build it, they will come. No, you do need to let us know, why are you in traffic and what's in it for me, right? Otherwise, what are you going to do if there's a crazy person standing in traffic? You're going to avoid them, okay? So this is what I'm saying. Business isn't that complicated, guys. It's really like real life here. So you've got to find your traffic source. Where is it that you want to hang out where the people are? Because it doesn't matter how amazing your product is. If nobody knows you exist, you don't, right? Just hear that. If nobody knows you exist, you don't. And again, there's no have tos. You don't have to be in any particular place, but you do have to be somewhere where people know you exist. Right? So there's many, many paths, but I encourage you, and for my clients, we require one. When you're starting out, it's one focus. So pick the one you like the most or you're most comfortable at. Clients are everywhere. I know there's a lot of stuff out there like these people are here. If you're not comfortable there, it doesn't matter. So I want you to pick where you're comfortable, where you understand. That's your one traffic source. And then you're going to get real good at it. All right. Okay. So one traffic source. Then you're going to have one target market. So what does that mean, right? In that business terms, one type of person or specific type of person you're focusing on. It does not mean you have to niche. And I know this can be a scary thing that a lot of business coaches will tell you got to niche, you got to hyper niche. You don't have to only work with, 35-year-olds who are into underwater basket weaving who live in Corn Island of Nicaragua. Okay. Like that's not what you need to do. You can have 5 or 6 people you focus on, but it also means you need to have separate messaging for each of those people. They need to understand that you're talking to them.
Okay.
If you look at companies that sell jackets, who are jackets for? Everyone, right? Anyone who doesn't want to be cold. But there's a different reason that grandma buys the jacket, that the mom buys the jacket for the son, or that you might buy a jacket. And each of them require different messaging. And that's a lot to manage when you're starting out. And this is why it's best to go, out of all the people I can serve, that I will eventually absolutely serve, I'm not taking that away from you. Who do I serve best right now? Who do I serve best right now? And if you choose, that's your target market, then that's who we're going to talk to for the next year. So that's another one of our ones, right? So we have one traffic source, one target market, and we're going to go back to one product. Yikes. I know that scares everybody too. One product, but what if they want a 6-month, or what if they want this? I'm not saying that you cannot offer those, but your focus and your messaging is going to be primarily gearing people towards that product, whatever your main ideal one is. And you know how you might know that? It's the one that's going to get you to that goal that you chose at the end, right? If I have this many 1-year contracts, or if I have this many people, whatever your makeup of your product might be, that's what you want to sell the most of. That's what you know is going to bring you to that dream. So that's the product you focus on. Now, if you bring that product up and your target market goes, well, that's not really, I can't do that. Sure, talk about the other ones. Well, I have a different version. Great. But you're not going to put out a menu of 26 things and hope that that person knows how to pick the right thing for them. You're going to be the teacher and the advocate of what the best thing is. And you're going to stand behind why that product is so awesome. So again, we got one traffic source, one target market, one product, and one conversion tool. Okay. Now, conversion tool is just another fancy way to say that coffee date. What is the process that you go from somebody knowing you exist to actually wanting to work with you? Right. And that doesn't just happen, right? Typically, it's some version of a conversation, right? Where they're having, is your goal to get the people on your rented land, okay, your rented land are places you don't own. Again, social media sites, all of those. If you did own them, you probably wouldn't be watching this podcast right now. So if you own Instagram, I mean, great to have you here, but that's not what you're doing. So you need to have a way to convert them more into your world. And so whether that is through a download or something they've offered, or inviting them to a conversation where you guys can discuss the product, that is what your conversion tool is. For an example, some people use webinars that they might sell on webinars. Maybe they teach something and then they pitch their product. Some people offer, we're going to say discovery calls. It's not my favorite term. We could talk about that if we have time, because don't offer discovery calls. I'm just going to go into it now. Don't offer discovery calls, and this is why. Nobody's interested in discovering. Tell them what the benefit of that call is. No one's like, oh, you want to discover whether or not I'm good enough to sell to? No one's interested in that. If you say on this call, we'll find out what your best program might be, or what 3 things you should focus on most to increase your health, that's a reason to jump on a call. So whether it's one of your great, wonderful result-oriented calls or a webinar or anything like that, that's your conversion tool. And ideally you want one. You don't want 5 different ways to do it. Because again, if you're a solopreneur, that's going to take a lot out of you. So what you're focused on, again, one traffic source, one target market. What did we say? I say this so much. One traffic source, one target market, one product, and one conversion tool. And again, that's only 4, right? For 1 year. Right. For 1 year, it's about consistency. It's about your own mastery of that. Because as soon as something isn't going your way after 30 days and you pivot, you're not going to learn anything from that, right? You need to really start to understand that data. What about it didn't work? What do we need to do? So before you just start jumping all over the place, commit to that process and see what you learn and gather over the year. That's the rule.
I love this so much. All right. All right. So these are our 5. These are our 4 out of 5 ones. And then we're looking at, we're finding people, we're inviting them to coffee dates. There's the honeymoon phases. There's meeting and greeting. This is creating a kind of a pathway, right? But this all has to be identified before you make the jump, right?
Absolutely. These are the things that you want to clarify and figure out, because again, if you start, put the cart ahead of the horse, trust me, it's done. It happens. And if you find yourself there, don't go, oh no, I've ruined it all. You're fine. Good on you for taking imperfect action. But if you're starting to feel a bit scrambly and not understanding, like, this isn't working the way I thought, it's time to pull back and zoom out to look at these pieces and go, do I have these pieces in place? Am I clear how I'm going to find people, how I'm going to move them into my world, how I'm going to nurture a relationship, how I'm going to eventually sell, right? That's what a conversion tool or your proposal really means, is selling. But again, people get nervous. Oh, selling. It's really just having a conversation about how you can support them. So that's a story in your mind you got to get out. Just have a conversation about how you can support them, and then how you deliver that product. If you don't have these core pieces sorted out, again, you'll be spinning your wheels. And it's just that simple clarity that can move you into success in this process. I mean, that's really what it's about. And not all these other hacks and tactics and things that are there. These core pieces, and you can just get them clear, understand what they are. And if you get stuck, reach out and say, hey, what should I do here? But those are the main pieces that are going to keep you moving. And then there is another element before we wrap up at some point we should discuss, and it's time. Do we have time to discuss time?
Let's discuss. Let's make time to discuss time.
We'll make time to discuss time. So this is one of the biggest, before all of those things we talked about, I'm going to say this is one of the biggest that happen when moving into entrepreneurship, which is both absolutely true and completely false. Okay. And yes, it can happen. It's a dichotomy and a juxtaposition we're going to live in. Okay. So what's happening is a lot of us go into entrepreneurship because we go, darn it, I want to be in charge of my own time.
Right.
I want that freedom. I get to make my own schedule. I can do whatever, whenever. That's the biggest mistake.
Yeah, I was going to say, tell me more. As an entrepreneur, I'd like to see if I really have free time.
Right. And now I want you to have free time, but it does need to be designed, because otherwise what you do is you get into wrangling your time like herding cats. Because you say yes, because I can go to lunch right now. Sure. I can make my own time. Yeah. I could do this right now. You start saying yes to all these things without any structure. And the next thing you know, you're in the 80-hour work week. And so it's really not about managing time. What we want to do is design our time. And you want to identify the core types of time that you need. Because as an entrepreneur, what you're saying yes to, and I think this is a race, and find out that I'm not just getting to meet with clients. I'm not just getting to do the thing I did this for. Saying yes to entrepreneurship is saying yes to being the CEO in your business. It is saying yes to overlooking your sales department, even if that's just you. It's to overlooking the marketing department. Again, even if that's just you. It's really starting to understand these components, again, without losing your life to them. And how do we do that is by really starting to understand how we want our time designed throughout the week, throughout the days. And so one of the big mistakes is when your client goes, when are you available? You say, whenever you'd like. I'm Monday through Friday. I urge you, as you're going on, but think about what you want your life to look like, right? Do you want to work on Mondays? Would you rather work half days all week, or would you want to do like a nurse, 3 big days and 2 days off? Think about how you want to structure your days and your time in your life. So I'll give a little example for me. I do not see clients Mondays or Tuesdays. Mondays or Tuesdays are my cave time, other than, the occasional podcast or something like that. I'm in yoga pants all day long, right? That's all it is. And I'm working on administrative operations, vision, looking at how the business is running, processing invoices, doing those types of things away from client-facing work. Wednesdays and Thursdays, I see clients. Fridays, I'm off.
Okay.
That's how I structure my time. And I make sure that I have space for creation, for consumption, which is creation. You're going to need to maybe make the plans for your clients. You may need to make your marketing content, right? Your creation space ideally should be within the same time. So I know you guys talk about a lot of this in NASM as well with neuroscience. You know, when you look at how the brain works, it works best doing similar activities in the same time. And so what you want to do is you want to work on all of your writing and thinking in the same batch. You want to do all your admin and invoicing in the same batch. Yeah. You want to be in client energy mode in the same batch. And so really starting to go, yes, I do get to do whatever I want, whenever I want. And if you're listening, I have quotes in my fingers right now. So little quotation marks here. You do, but it has to be intentional. It is not on the fly. Now, eventually, when you're raking it in and you're at your level, sure, say yes to every luncheon you want. But when you first start out, you really need to be intentional and wise. Otherwise, you will find yourself again, burnt out, and success doesn't happen in burnout. So it's just my biggest caution there is learn to design that time in such a way that it does exemplify your joy and you get to do the things that you like, and you don't find yourself so available that everyone else actually dictates your freedom. That's not
I think that's very important. I get it quite a bit. You know, hey, Rick, I love your podcast. I'm in New York City. Can I take you to coffee? Can I come by and see your gym? And I think it's really nice. And I express my gratitude with that. But sometimes it's just like, I'm spread too thin and I would love to meet you. I would love to do that, but I just don't have the capacity. You know, and I think it's very important to schedule a time where if I can meet with people, here's a window of time this week. And if you can fit into that time, let's do it. I'm meeting with a friend of mine this week that trained at my gyms early on, and he's in town. And I was like, absolutely. Let's get together.
That's exactly it. Like you could have something once a month as your meetup time. And anyone who says, hey, would you like to meet up? You know, it's always the third Thursday of the month. So instead of going, sure, when would you like? You go, yeah, I have the 25th available. And that's it. Yeah. Everyone gets offered the 25th, right? Or maybe Rick needs to start a big meetup. You know, we'll see in the comments
down
there. Yeah. Maybe he needs a monthly meetup, right? Let us know in the comments. But that's the whole point, is that if we do say yes, those are lovely things. And I think you really gave a great example, Rick, because it's a beautiful thing. So you want to say yes to those things, but designing the access around you and really understanding that it doesn't mean you have to say no, but it needs to have an intentional, protected space to do so. That's going to be the thing that allows you to keep the momentum and growth as a business owner and also enjoy life. You know, I tell people, if you want to have family time or read a book, schedule it the same way that you would schedule a client appointment. And honor it the same way that you'd honor a dentist appointment, for crying out loud, right? So you can do that, but schedule that time and make intentional space. Like, this is my time, this is my downtime, but you do need to put it intentional into a schedule and recognize that the structure, and I know this is hard to grasp sometimes, but that structure is actually your freedom.
Yes. Oh, I love that you just said that. I love that. All right. So listen, Tanya, I have taken up so much of your time, and with gratitude, I want to say thank you so much. Can you provide information? How can people find you? How can people get this book of yours?
Oh, yes. Well, so real quick, I am Tanya Kraisingr, and because that is a mouthful and it's hard to spell unless your Czech and Spanish is incredible, I go by Tanya MFK. I am the only Tanya MFK in the world, so you can Google me, find me anywhere, all my social channels, Tanya MFK. If you do like some of the stuff that you've heard today and going, this is all great, but how do I actually do it? We have a free book called Goals to Game Plan, which, guess what, helps you create your game plan. So it has 15 resources, actionable, interactive resources, worksheets, so you can put this plan together. All right. There's no catch. We're not going to chase you down. It goes right to our website. We'll share that link there, and you get that book, immediate download, and it has all the resources there. So you can turn some of these ideas, including your time design, into a real plan, so you can make this dream a reality.
Oh, thank you. Will be going to your website right away and downloading it for myself, and I'll be using it for my business. You also have a consulting business as well. So if anybody out there is interested, then are you accepting new clients? Is that something that
Absolutely. So
Okay.
we help people of all different levels. So if you're just starting out or you're interested in getting some one-to-one direct support, we have things from free to highly elite support. And so we have Modern Business Mastery. We have a free community full of resources, monthly trainings, live trainings. You have access to our copywriters, to our LinkedIn specialists, for those of you who are into LinkedIn. All of this is completely free. Why? Because I've been doing this for 22 years and I know how tough it can be. There's a lot of gatekeepers and everybody's selling their high ticket thing. And you know what? Sometimes you just need some help to get started. And so we do have that available. We also have workshops and other resources. If you're really interested in kind of getting everything started and ready, we have our Ready for Profit, which gets your entire business up and running in 8 weeks. So lots of different versions for whatever access level you are. So again, Tanya MFK or modernbusinessmastery.com. We are there to support you any way of the path where you are.
Okay. I might be reaching out to you directly for myself. So with that being said, thank you so much for being here. And for those of you who are here, thank you for being a part of it. If you could do a flavor, like, subscribe, share with your fitness friends and family, and leave a comment. That's really actually quite helpful if you leave a comment. And if you got questions for me, hit me up. You can do so at dr.rickrichey on Instagram or rick.richey@nasm.org. Y'all keep inspiring people to fitness. Thanks for listening. This has been the NASM CPT Podcast.